In this video, I'm going to explain some of the best practices in terms of coding style. A poor coding style is where every single piece of code begins from the left. Something like this, where no two functions have a white space between them, where no two parameters have a space between them. So although this program works, it's not considered to be a good program because it is not well styled. So we run this program and you'll see this program works perfectly. Wherever I move the mouse, wherever the mouse is, the line is drawn. It's when I press the mouse, the line is erased for a moment. So let's get this statement out, and this will give a better representation of what this program does. So every time a line is drawn from the origin, wherever the mouse is, except every time you press the mouse, the output is erased. So what do we need to do? Every function, namely setup, draw, and mouse press, and any other function that you have, you should leave one line between them to separate them. Second, whenever you enter a scope, and a scope is defined as the start of a function, a condition, a loop, or an explicit scope. And so far we only know about functions. So every time you enter a function, you press one tab ahead. In fact, processing does that for you. So when you press enter, you can see it's already one tab ahead. And so you have to go actually out of your way to make things worse. So you press a tab because you're in draw, you press a tab because you're in background. You can also have some conditions sometimes. For example, in this case, only if the mouse is pressed in the left half of the screen should we erase the background. And you can see when we enter a condition, you go one tab forward. Inside that condition, we might have another condition that if mouse y is less than height by 2, only then you erase the background. So you can say that the background statement is a part of if mouse y less than height by 2, if mouse y less than height by 2 is a part of if mouse x less than width by 2, and if mouse x less than width by 2 is a part of void mouse pressed. And that is good coding style. Good indentation. The second thing is each parameter inside a function call should be separated by a space. There should be a space after the comma to make it easier to read. Sometimes you might want to increase the stroke continuously. So let's say the stroke size each time increases by 0.1. If you write stroke size becomes stroke size plus 0.1 without any spaces, you can see that it's a bit difficult to read. So you should leave a space between the operators as well. You should define stroke size is originally 1. Each time the line is drawn with that stroke weight. When the mouse is pressed, let's say we also reset the stroke size to 1 again. Let's run this. So every time you can see that thicker lines are drawn over and over, and if you press the mouse, only in the left half and the top half, it is erased. Again, so you can see that it starts with thinner lines and goes and becomes thicker. So that's about indentation. The second thing is you should comment the program. Commenting the program shouldn't be such that you write before this statement, stroke size increases by 0.1. Now that's obvious, so you shouldn't write that. If you want to really justify that statement, make the next line thicker. That's fine, you can do that. But even then I wouldn't do that because it's quite self-explanatory what that statement does. Yes, in mouse pressed, you can say if the mouse is pressed in the top left half of the screen, only then reset the attributes. Now that's a reasonable comment. Another example of where a comment is required is, let's say I create a variable which is a random number between 3 and 4, and then I have int b is the integer part of a plus 0.5. It's very unclear what this statement does. Let's display both a and b, and you'll see that when a is 3.23, b is 3. When a is 3.4, b is still 3. When a is 3.93, b becomes 4. So what it's doing is it's rounding off a to the nearest integer. So you should write it, round off to nearest integer. And that's a sensible, meaningful, concise comment. So that's the second thing about comment. Next, you shouldn't use magic numbers. So let's say I have a different program where every time the mouse is pressed, a ball starts moving from there onwards. So every time the mouse is pressed, you copy mouse X into X and mouse Y into Y. In draw, you erase the background to erase the previous output. Draw the line, draw an ellipse at X, Y of 40, 40, and increase X by 3.2. When I run this program, you can see every time I press the mouse, a ball starts moving from the location of the mouse press. But it's very unclear what 40 and 40 are, so you should store them in diameter and speed. The reason I'm capitalizing is because I'm going to make them finals, which means they cannot be changed. And finals are distinguished by variables by capitalizing them. So if I run this, now it's the same, but it's very clear that it's the speed at which the coordinate is moving. So there you go, we have discussed indentation, commenting, and variable names should be sensible, and also eliminating magic numbers which don't make sense. Where are these values coming from? So those values 40, 40 and 3.2 are magic numbers, and they should be kept in variables. Of course, the last thing is that variable names should be sensible and not like Tom and Jerry, because it doesn't make sense. It should be clearly X and Y, or if you want to be even clearer, X ball and Y ball. So this would be X ball and this would be Y ball. Let's run this, and that's good.